Right here, I'm just going to pre-fill the joint. It helps avoid cracking in the future, makes the wall more solid, and I'm going to tape it with mesh tape. It's a self-adhesive tape. Usually only use it for patchwork or a very small job that you're trying to finish that day. Anything bigger, you're going to use paper tape. Paper tape is the better tape to use, but for repair work, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to use mesh tape. That one had lost its ability to bond, so I had to set it with mud first. So I put the mud on the wall first, then the tape over it. And then you can mud it almost immediately. When I was putting my knife flat over that joint right there, I was seeing where I needed to put the mud and how much mud it was going to need. Right there, I'm just showing you I'm using 20-minute mud. And then once it's starting to set up and it's almost dry, you can come over the top of it, just skim over the top of it like that with a little bit of pressure. Flatten that patch out a little bit more, and you can see it came out flat right here. A lot of guys like to put a curve in their knife. It's a terrible thing to do. Anytime you put a curve in your knife and run it over mud, it's going to form to that curve and it's going to leave a hump in the wall. You want a knife as straight as possible. Also, a lot of guys like to attack this patch. They like to fill it all up with mud on the first coat. They won't even check where the mud's needed or anything like that. They'll just come in. What I'm about to do, I'm going to skim over the patch with mud, and this is how they'll come in this is how they'll come in and attack it like this. Putting mud over the whole thing. Then they'll feather their edges and with their curved knife. Leave a hump everywhere they wipe their knife over it. It looks pretty. When it's painted, it looks terrible. So all I'm doing is the patch was already flat. All I did was put mud over the whole patch. And now I'm taking it all off. What that does is just fill in any nicks, scratches, dings, anything that wasn't perfect, makes it perfect. Pretty much just polishing the patch. And also quickset mud dries harder than any other mud, so putting that one over that quickset mud helps the patch not flash whenever you paint it. Since you're using the mud that's more compatible with the texture mud and has more or less the same properties and just not as hard of a mud. Them little dots right there are what's going to show up whenever you try to paint it if you don't take them off. That's where I was feathering the texture. So once it dries, you always want to, you can even do it while it's wet. You just dab the wet sponge on it, but it was already dry right here, so I'm just feathering it in. If you don't do that, it'll show up that you did work there, because them little dots show up different on the whole wall, and once painted and it looks terrible. You can just see work was done, but right there you can see the existing texture flowing right into the new texture. Match perfect. I wasn't a fan of the texture, but hey, I just matched what they got. I like to shoot my mud real fine. My textures are real fine when I shoot them, so just watering down the mud a little bit more. They just had a little bit too thick, so it was probably more of a mud for knockdown than orange peel. The Wagner gun right there, heat gun, just dried out so I can start painting this patch. I end up putting 2 coats of paint on the patch, and then I roll out the whole wall 1 coat. Just helps seal the patch better and let it all flow together good. It was the matching paint, but just went ahead and painted the whole wall. It was a small wall, so just painted the whole thing. Right there I'm scoring the tape, so any paint that dried on the tape and the wall, or any texture or mud that dried pretty much on the tape and on the wall together, I scored it so whenever I pull the tape, it doesn't pull it off the wall. Always clean from top to bottom. That way all your trash can fall on the ground, and then at the end you can ball up this paper and throw it in the trash. There it is, just cleaning up. Wall looks good. There's the job done. Got the bathroom clean. Everything put back into place. Wiped down. Texture matches good. No hump on the wall. perfect. You never know we were there.